All right, folks. Well, my name is Sarah Heineken. I am a CGIS Intercultural Programs Advisor, and I take the pronouns she, hers. Kali, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, Marissa and Ryan, I think I know both of you. I'm Kali Federhofer, and as you may know, I teach here and I'm an advisor. Great to see you.
All right. Well, we have a short presentation, but a lot of time for questions. So this is mostly just to give you an overview of some options for winter 2024. We're going to focus on Tübingen, but we'll also talk a little bit about a couple of our other options. Feel free to drop questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have any questions throughout. So just as a recap, so for the German department, I pulled these major requirements from the LSA advising page. So a lot of folks who want to study abroad in winter 2025 in Germany want to do so for German department major or minor requirements. Prerequisites cannot be filled abroad, so you'd be focusing on the requirements section of your major if you are a potential German major. Kali, do you mind elaborating of these requirements, what students most commonly bring back towards their major?
Well, the credits that you do in Tübingen or that you actually do abroad will all count towards the major. So we are very flexible here. Sarah's probably going to show you for which course, or maybe you don't, that you will be signed up for one course number only. And it's a study abroad number that every program has. And then I or Mary, we will divide these credits and say, oh, this one credit fulfills a 400 level requirement, this credit fulfills 325 or 326, this class is going to fulfill a 400 level or 300 level class. So we are very flexible in that. So don't worry here that, oh, you need to take a certain level of classes in Tübingen or in Freiburg, and it's going to work on your behalf. So all the credits will count.
Okay, great. And I'm gonna guess that things are somewhat similar towards the
Exactly.
minor,
Yeah.
particularly because I believe although there is a minimum amount of courses that need to be taken in German, there are some courses that you can take in English so long as they have 50% content or higher about Germany or the German diasporic
Yeah.
countries, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
All right, so these are the requirements that you're going to want to bear in mind. And of course, you'll be working with Kali and Mary throughout once you are choosing courses for your study abroad program, what they can count for. Just also as a reminder, oftentimes students also are still working on distribution courses, or they have other requirements they want to work on, so such as requirements for other majors or minors. Some folks still might have humanities or social science distribution. These are things that might also potentially be available to you abroad. So now we'll jump in a little bit to talk about Tübingen specifically. So a couple things to know. So Tübingen is in Baden-Württemberg. It's pretty far south in Germany. It's a small little university town. It's very similar to Ann Arbor, I think, in terms of feel and scope. In fact, it is Ann Arbor's sister city. This is an exchange program, so it's exactly what it sounds like. So we send students to Tübingen and they also send students to us. We only send students abroad to Tübingen for the winter semester, but Tübingen generally sends us students for the fall semester or for the academic year. So you might bump into them on campus, and we're trying to get in the habit of inviting some of our current students from Tübingen to come to our orientations, because that's been really helpful for our students. The prerequisites for this program is that you do need to have a minimum 3.0 GPA, and then at least sophomore standing by the program start, as well as 3 semesters of college level German or equivalent with a 3.0 GPA in those courses. by the program start. So if you are in I mean, obviously for the LSA language requirement, you need to get through 232. But if you did 231 at the time of application and then continue or were currently in 232, that would be acceptable. If you did 103 and then you're wrapping up 232 and you're applying, that would also be fine. And then the duration of the program is generally from March until the end of July. So as you can notice here, the semester is a bit off kilter to the University of Michigan semester. We'll jump into a little bit more of the structure and some things about that in just a moment. So just to give you an idea, Tübingen, where Tübingen is, you can see it on the map. Like I said, it's pretty far in the south. So you'd be closest to Stuttgart and Munich. München, those were the biggest cities. It would be a little bit of a trek to get to like Berlin or Hamburg in the north. So this program is well suited towards students who are independently minded, because you'll be navigating a lot of bureaucratic processes, including the housing through the Studentenwerk, as well as the German visa process. So it's definitely a program that takes a little extra initiative, but absolutely the German department and myself are here to help you through the process. It's a very long-standing partnership that we have with Tübingen, so we also are really familiar. We also have a lot of great alums who are participating in that program, and there are definitely still a few on campus who we could get you in contact with. Tübingen is also particularly well suited to students who want to really focus exclusively or almost exclusively on German major and minor requirements, although there is the opportunity to take some coursework, pardon me, not related to the German major or minor. That being said, we'll go through the sort of course breakdown for this program in just a moment. You'll see why the predominant focus really will be on a German major or minor requirements. You certainly don't have to be a German major or minor to participate in this program, but you're going to get so many credits towards one of those two things that if you weren't previously considering one of those options, you may want to if you're really interested in this program. Also, this is a great program for students who want a thorough culture and language immersion experience. All classes are taught in German, and you'll also be living with other Germans or international students in a very student town. So it is international in the way that like Ann Arbor is international. There are many international students, but it's still not quite as cosmopolitan as Berlin or Hamburg or Munich. So definitely it will be a really culturally informative experience. And then also, this is great for students who enjoy the college town experience. The nice thing about Germany, though, is that I think a lot of people hear college town in the US and they assume sort of, small and hard to get to, but Germany has excellent public transit. So if you're a type of person who likes to get out and explore big cities nearby or travel, but then, your day to day, you really like it to be in a bit of a smaller, more intimate academic setting, this will be a really great experience for you. My apologies. Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. Yeah, question from Marissa.
Just a quick question, just because I'm curious. I know you mentioned that Berlin is further away. How far away actually is it, like in terms of time? Like if I was to take a train per se.
About 6 or 7 hours, right, Kali?
Well, let's just check this for Marissa.
Okay, Kali's gonna pull up the Google map for us.
Well, no, I mean, we just go to, I don't want to share the screen here, but I just maybe post in the chat box, I think the chat box is enabled, this site, which, oh, I can't chat. Okay, so just give me a,
Yeah, well, Kali's looking that up. So you'd be a couple hours away from Munich, so maybe about 2 hours by train. And then also you'd be about an hour to an hour and a half away from Stuttgart as well, depending on the connections. So there are airports in Stuttgart, there are airports obviously in München, and then getting to Berlin by train, it could take a little bit longer. It could be maybe 6 to 7 hours.
Yes,
Maybe.
it is actually 6 hours and
Okay.
44 minutes.
All right, I was right in the window. So,
Absolutely. Well done.
so people have differing opinions on Deutsche Bahn. I think as a US American who grew up in the Midwest, I actually love Deutsche Bahn because there are just so many connections to both rural and metropolitan locations, plus all cities have their own public transit system. There's definitely buses in Tübingen. I can't remember if there are street trams. I don't believe so. But there are definitely regional trains and everything. So great question.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so just looking a little bit, this is the timeline specifically for the semester, but now we're going to get in to the breakdown of the types of credits that you'll be taking or courses you'll be taking. So as we mentioned, the semester is off kilter. So you'll actually arrive in March and classes will start, but not for the university. You'll be doing an orientation class that is run by the university, but is not the official start of the semester. It's called Kompaktkurs or Startkurs. So they're two different programs. Ironically, Kompaktkurs is the longer of the two, so the programs run 4 and 2 weeks respectively. Kompaktkurs is generally more well suited to students who have never traveled abroad before or have less experience abroad, as well as students who might have a lower level of German who maybe just met that minimum. So that is the program that we generally recommend towards for those students, as well as the Startkurs, which is a 2-week orientation program. Both programs will cover sort of in addition to German language instruction and sort of, getting your German geared up for your academic German geared up for the semester, it'll also do things like help you go through the visa process and get registered with the local municipality. It'll also just kind of go over day-to-day life in German. So it's really meant to ensure a smoother transition before you're also taking regular academic classes. And you are awarded credits for this. So you get to know the city before your classes even start, and then already get either 6 credits for Kompaktkurs or 3 credits for Startkurs. So it's a pretty great deal. Then the actual semester will run April to July. And then you'll get credits for a DAF course, so a Deutsch als Fremdsprache course. This is generally about 9 U of M credits, so it's a fairly substantial chunk of your total credits that you'll be taking abroad there. It is CGIS policy, which is in line with most countries' policies, that you maintain a full-time schedule. So that's 12 credits or higher. So you'll already get that just by doing the orientation course and doing the Deutsch als Fremdsprache class. And so they're intensive, like the Compact or the Startkurs. They have the Aufbaukurs, which is 3 days a week for up to the B2 level. So if you're familiar with the CERF, the Common European Framework, I forget what the R stands for, reference framework or something like that. Language fluency is assessed on a scale of A1, A2, B2, B1, B2, and C1, C2. So A1 being the lowest and C2 being the highest. This is definitely really beneficial for most of our students. Callie, is everyone required to take a DAF course?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to say a few things about this. First of all, 90% of our students take the compact course. In this year's cohort, there's only one student actually who takes the start course. And the compact course also gives you, you will travel to a monastery or what used to be a monastery, and you stay there for a week, and students really, really like that. It's nothing religious that you have to participate in, but it's just something cultural. And at the moment, we are actually talking with the students in Tübingen on Zoom, and we talk about their course choices. So part of the Compact and the Start course is, as soon as you arrive there, they give you a placement assessment. Don't think it's a placement test and you need to place at a certain level just to make sure, oh, are you in level B1? Are you in level B2? Maybe in A2, maybe even in C1. And then based on this placement, you will select later on for April these DAF classes. All of them give you University of Michigan credits. Don't think here, oh, you need to be at a certain level to get 400 level credits. They all count towards you. And at the moment, the students also select the university classes. And that can take a little bit more difficult because students sometimes take 3 classes and then they say, oh, we just want to try out, but it's all going to work out for you.
Yeah, and then to that wit, so generally, depending on how many credits that you have in combination from the compact course or start course and the DAF class, then you will be taking most likely 3 to 6 U of M credits through the university. Now, the actual number of courses could be, usually we think of one class as being 3 credits or two classes being 6 credits. Courses have to have 2 ECTS points, which is the European Common Transfer System. It's adopted throughout the entire EU, which is how they assess courses to receive UMich credits. But generally, this still shakes out to, it could be 3 classes, but most of the times it shakes out to, again, 1 to 2 additional courses. Oftentimes, students will try a variety of courses and then drop a few to make sure that they don't exceed the credit maximums. But it is important that you remember that you can only bring back 12 to 18 credits total, which this takes us into our next slide anyway, which is some special considerations. So because it's easy to register for multiple classes, you really need to be working with Kali and Mary and myself to make sure that your final course registration does not exceed 18 credits, because you have to factor in those 2 aspects that we talked about, right? So if you do compact course and you do a DAF course, that's already 15 credits, and that only really leaves you 3 credits to bring back. Some people, if they're really high in their German level and they feel really secure and they opt for Startkurs, oftentimes they might do that so that they can bring back 6 credits that aren't German department specific credits. They might want to take a course towards, history or poli-sci or maybe something else that they're minoring or majoring in, international studies. So it will all work out, as Kali said. We'll figure it all out. It just takes some communication and just, making sure that you're checking in with us regularly. Some other things to be aware of is that this program runs March to July, so domestic internships in summer will basically not be, hiccups, possible for this program. Most internships in the US, if you're looking for, particularly if you're going abroad second semester junior year and coming back senior year, and you really want that junior year internship, it will be difficult to do a domestic one. But there is some good news on that, which is that German study visas authorize students to work 20 hours per week. So self-organized internships or a part-time job may be possible just for some extra cash, or just to build some experience. On top of that, I didn't put it in here, but study abroad is actually an incredibly high impact experience on the job market as well. So don't feel like you're sacrificing an internship to do this. This is of equal importance to many employers, not least of all because you'll have extremely marketable language skills, but you're also going to be developing a lot of soft skills such as intercultural communication, resiliency, dependability, all things that employers seek. So this is not necessarily a drawback, but just a consideration so that you're aware as you plan your schedule moving forward. A final consideration is that German bureaucracy is slow. Transcripts may not be available until October or November for this program. For graduating seniors who plan to graduate in May of, this would be 2026. That it shouldn't be an issue because you'll have it by the end of fall semester, and you can continue to do senior releases and planning for graduation well into your final semester. But if you are planning to graduate in fall 2025, just know that it will be tight. If you are planning to graduate in summer 2025, you will almost certainly not have the grades in order to get your diploma for the fall start of a graduate program or for any jobs that require transcripts. So that is something to bear in mind. So it's not impossible. So, and sometimes employers and grad programs are flexible. There's nothing we can do to compel the university to get grades faster, because you have to bear in mind that you're finishing up the semester in July, but grades aren't due to the university usually until October. And if people are doing makeup exams or redos, those happen throughout July, August, and September. So that is just something to bear in mind. So we just want to be transparent. We are in contact with Tübingen. We're always working to get your grades as quickly as possible. So as soon as we have a transcript, we can post them, but there can be delays depending on what courses you're taking. Kali, is there anything you wanted to say?
No, but
about
you're
that?
absolutely right. I mean, that's why the importance is also to communicate with your advisors, so that there is something documented. We in the German department work very, very closely, and we would confirm that you will be able to graduate, that these credits will count. But make sure if you plan to have classes count towards another major or also towards distribution credits, then be in contact even while you're in Tübingen, especially while you're in Tübingen, with your other department advisor in a different field or with your general advisor. And both of you are in LS&A here, so with your LS&A advisors.
The good news is it always works out for students. So while we're trying to be transparent with these considerations, we also don't want you to feel panic or, ooh, what am I getting into? Also, you can work with me, particularly if you're like a pre-med student and you want to know, how the timing interacts with when you need to take your MCAT and things like that. I have a little bit of experience of students bringing this up with me. But the good news is if you're really interested and you're just planning a regular sort of May 2026 graduation, you will absolutely have everything you need on time to graduate. Okay. All right, so that is basically wraps up the information I have on Tübingen. I do want to just let you know that we have two other program options in Germany. They are less endorsed by the German department, but sometimes because of those considerations, you may also, if you really need to finish a program in May or June, there are a couple other options available. So, Kali, did you want to chime in?
Can you say something about the finances and also the housing in Tübingen?
Yes, absolutely. So, here you can see a picture of the housing in Tübingen. So there's an entity called the Studentenwerk, which is the university dorm system. So basically, it's the closest thing I can relate it to is sort of these, high-rise student apartments where they rent out rooms in suites, or individual, studio apartments or things like that. It is affiliated with the university, but it is its own administrative entity. So basically what will happen is if and when you are nominated for the program, then you will also apply to the Studentenwerk. You'll do this usually in November-ish, November to December of the semester that you apply. So that would be the November or December of this year. And then all the rent and fees would be paid directly to the Studentenwerk. There's lots of dormitories spread throughout the city. Some are more central, some are less central. But that being said, because of the scale of Tübingen, being slightly outside of the city center really doesn't guarantee you a significantly longer commute. Tübingen and generally student housing prices in Germany are way more affordable than in the United States. So it's going to look more like an off-campus rent contract, but at prices that will make you very happy, usually sort of in the 400 euro per month range, which is the equivalent to about, like $500 US. And then, as I mentioned, this is a U of M tuition paying program because it's an exchange. So U of M students that we send, they'll still be paying their U of M tuition, and the vice versa applies for the incoming Tübingen students. All CGIS programs, all the programs we're going to talk about today, you will receive in-residence credit that transfers automatically with grades that factors into your GPA, and you can use your financial aid. There's also the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship that you could apply for any of these programs, which 95% of these eligible students will receive between $1,000 and $10,000. So I will say that this program will be a bit more expensive for out-of-state students, but you could apply for the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship as an out-of-state student if you have a FAFSA on file. The German department also has lots of scholarships. And then there's also a scholarship program called the Baden-Württemberg Scholarship, which we work with the German department to nominate students. So if you are not, that happens automatically. We'll let you know if we want to nominate you, and then there's a process to submit, but there's lots of other pockets of funding all around the university.
Let me also say one word about this entire structure, and thanks for saying this. And I just want to go back to the housing. So you all are going to live in a single. So they don't have doubles in Germany, and it's much, much cheaper. As you said, I think at the moment the students pay roughly about $350, $400 a month to live there. So you will get the information to apply for housing, but then the housing office communicates with you individually. It doesn't communicate through Sarah, it doesn't communicate through me or through Mary. They communicate with you individually. And that means this program is actually very, very independent. Unlike Freiburg, where everything is basically done for you by somebody in Freiburg, but here you need to pay attention and you need to be responsible, and responsible means you need to actually respond. It's great because now you learn actually to be basically on your own. Because if you don't, and we sometimes had students who didn't respond, oh, you need to sign actually a lease. Well, that could lead to some kind of grave issues that you suddenly arrive in Germany and there is no housing for you. You will be far more independent than in other programs, which is great, but it's also sometimes a test.
Yeah, so there is a designated team at Tübingen, the incoming study abroad team, that works with exchange students. So it's not like we're going to throw you to the wolves with zero support. There is support on site in Tübingen, and there is obviously support from us on our end. But that being said, when we say independent, what we really mean is that there's a lot of all-inclusive study abroad programs, including the two that we're going to talk about for the winter 2025 semester. Those have larger program fees, but everything is built in, right? The tuition, the housing, everything is built into that. That being said, again, it's not an impossible process to navigate. It really just sometimes is as simple as monitoring your email and just asking questions when you have them in a timely manner. And if you can do that, you absolutely can be successful on those programs. So again, we're not trying to put the fear of God into you. We're just trying to be transparent about expectations so you can make the best program selection as possible for you. So again, the focus of this presentation is on winter 2025. So if you're interested in Academic Year Freiburg, that is an academic year program. Kali and I would also be happy to talk about that. We're just going to talk about two other programs today, which are Metropolitan Studies Berlin and then European Union Freiburg. So both of these programs are provider programs. So you would not be paying U of M tuition in these instances. You would be paying the provider directly. So for out-of-state students, these may be more affordable options. The semester is much more in line with our semester. So you'll be wrapping up you'll start in January and wrap up in May or early June for both programs. Metropolitan Studies Berlin, the name is a bit misleading. What it actually should be called, which I have told IES multiple times, is it should be called Humanities and Social Sciences in Berlin, because that's what it is. It was originally conceptualized as more of an urban studies program, and there are certainly urban studies courses available, but they offer a wide variety of courses. They are taught in English. They do have some 4-credit German language courses. So you would want to work with the German department to see if the courses you'd be bringing back would be able to fulfill requirements towards the major or minor, that's the German language taught courses specifically. Otherwise, everything else is taught in English, but there are a lot of courses that do align in particular with the minor for any courses that are taught in English. So there's a lot about German history and politics, particularly Berlin politics. And also, if you have German language skills and you test into GR 401 or higher, you may also have the option to take a German taught course offered from another program that is not in our portfolio, the Language and Area Studies program. So depending on also your level, you may have the option to take more German language coursework. Housing is provided through this program, so it's a bit more of that all-inclusive style where you pay all the tuition and fees to IES, the provider, and they will provide you with housing. Their meals are not included, so you would be on your own, but you would have to provide meals, but you would have a kitchenette, you would have a fully furnished, bedroom/apartment. All of these programs, you would never share a bedroom with anyone. Even if you live in an apartment with other people, everyone has their own bedroom. It's much more like a flat share situation than it is like US dormitory style, where you might have 2 or 3 people in the same room. You would also have either your own bathroom or there would be a shared bathroom, but it would be less like a US communal bathroom where there are like 10 people sharing one bathroom. It would just be the apartment. This is a great program if you maybe only need like 1 class or 2 classes maximum towards the German major or minor and are planning to work more on distribution or other requirements. And like I said, for out-of-state students, it may be more affordable. But for both in-state and out-of-state students, again, if you have a FAFSA on file and receive any type of financial aid, it would be applicable to this program and you would be eligible to apply to the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, and IES has its own scholarships. Our final program, yeah, Marissa, what's up?
Real quick, so with that program as well, would those credits transfer into would they be considered credits? Like, would it be in residency or would it be outside of
Yeah.
it?
So even though we're working with a provider, all 3 of these programs, if it is in our portfolio, it basically means we have a contract with either a university or one of these companies. And if we have an official partnership, you will always receive LSA in residence credit for all of these courses. Like Kali said, you always get a placeholder number. So everything, so I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but all of our placeholder numbers are like STABRD. So for all the courses in one location, it would be something like STABRD 400, and then it would say the actual course title. That doesn't indicate level at all. It's just a placeholder. So like Kali was saying, the department evaluates what course level it can transfer for, what specific requirement line. Kali, have you had any students participate in this program, and what type of credit did they bring back, if any?
Well, it's just, well, yes, we had students who participated in this program. The credits counted, oftentimes they were minors, they were not actually majors. But they could count as 300 level credits, 400 level credits. That's fine.
Yeah.
But just one question, is it feasible to get 19 credits for this program?
It would not be for U of M students because of
I
our
see.
limit. This is
Yeah,
just the
okay.
amount, the maximum you can take there, because I pulled this text from their website.
See.
For U of M students, you would need to be at 18 credits max.
18 credits, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Finally, again, this program is honestly most suited towards maybe if you're a minor who only needs one class. It's not the best option of the three for specifically major or minor credit, but it is a really great option if you're a person who took German and you still want to use your German, but you are maybe an international studies major. We have the European Union Freiburg program. Again, it says between 16 and 20 credits, but again, you're always capped at U of M at 18 credits. To be clear, if it is possible to bring back over 18 credits, but once you do, you incur extra fees. So unless you are willing to pay to bring back more than 18 credits, we suggest always taking at maximum 18 credits, and usually most students bring back 15 to 18, excuse me, for study abroad. This program is really well suited if you are interested in a career in maybe diplomacy in the foreign service for the US, or if you really want to go into international relations or international business, or maybe even like public policy. Again, there is an optional German taught IES abroad studies course, but most of the focus is going to is going to be on sort of the European Union. It is a very cool program because they're in addition to the coursework, you will travel for a total of 14 days. So you do trips to like Brussels and other sort of major EU areas around Europe. So it is a wonderful program, particularly for like international relations or politics students. Again, less suited towards the major or minor, but if you have a specific timeline when you need to get back to the US by, it is more in line with the U of M semester. There is also an optional semester internship aspect that you could do in the summer after you complete your coursework. There is an additional fee, but there would be an internship option specifically at the end of this program. So if you are really interested in international politics or international relations and you want to do an internship and have that be your junior year internship, you could also stay longer in the summer for this program. So that is all I have for you today. I just wanted to run through all of our options for the winter semester. We have plenty of time for questions now. Kylie, thank you so much. You had some great questions or things to run down as well about financial aid and stuff like that. Does anyone want to know more about one of these specific programs, or is there something that we didn't cover today that you were really hoping to hear about? But if there are no more questions, you are free to go, and thank you so much for attending today.